7 o'clock. Got a quorum. I guess I'll call to order. Approval of the minutes from February.
Yes,
Motion.
I move to approve the minutes of February.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
I,
Minutes are so approved. Thank you, Cindy. They were very good.
Oh, yeah, I did those.
oh, okay. And you got my comments, right?
Yes,
I just realized, I guess I didn't review them from the packet that went out publicly. But if you got the ones that I did, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Public comments? Doesn't look like we have any. Which is weird. I was told by several people they were gonna be here, but
Huh, yeah, I expected people too.
yeah,
Nobody.
maybe this will be quick. I doubt it. Any new business?
I don't know if this is new business because it might be under, oh, you've got game night. Never mind. Nope. No new business.
Okay. I think game night is actually first on the agenda, isn't it?
Well, committee membership is there. So,
Yeah, community membership.
I don't have the agenda in front of me. Trying to find out where is it. Guess I should look at the agenda. Oh, committee membership. Sorry, you're right. So status is I'm still waiting for Minnie Sarwals to get back from their overseas trip to take care of family items. So I have not done anything there. I will check with her and see what their status is.
Okay,
Okay, now I think it's game night. Okay, I think as everybody recalled from last month, we had kind of hoped to put together a March, April, kind of a bingo night.
yeah,
And unfortunately, we were not able to tie down a date. I will not lead you through the laborious process that I went through. Needless to say. Thank you, Karen. Needless to say, it didn't work out. It could have, just saying, but it didn't. So we're back to square one with game night.
well, I think it would, given what we learned about the community hall being reserved, I think it would be a good idea to not only maybe pick our fall date, but also our next spring date and get it on the calendar now and make sure it's on the calendar. I don't know how people feel about that.
I would do that.
But
I think we should. Because didn't we even have trouble with getting the date for the picnic that we'd like for September, and this is only January?
yes.
Yeah,
I mean, I really think we need to set a
we'll
year
talk
ahead
about that when we
for
get to the
everything.
picnic.
Well, the problem is that there are different factors that come into play that we don't know, like well, we needed to get the Stanford football game schedule. There are things like that, and there might be local Portola Valley events. Like there was this, we learned about the school gala, which was last Saturday night, because we were thinking maybe we could do it on whatever that was, the 21st, and then we found out about the school gala. So we do need to coordinate to make sure that we're picking a night that most people could be free. But I think we're just going to have to pick nights and hope it works.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they do. Right?
Yep.
I
No,
mean,
I've told him to reserve every Saturday, September Saturday for the next 5 years. So hopefully we'll get it. We won't get blocked out of the picnic again. Yeah, I'm totally in favor of setting a date and getting it on the calendar.
Why do we care
Oh.
about Stanford games?
yeah, why do we?
Because some local people like to go to those. And the problem is you never know when the game time's going to be. The team has not been doing well, so a lot of the games end up being in the evening, but they don't post the schedule. So it's a local event that's happening that in the past a lot of people went to. I don't know about now, but there's a lot of Stanford families in the community.
Huh.
And sometimes
Alright.
it's not Stanford they go. I mean, it might be the Notre Dame game. So, all the Catholics are required to go.
They
Written
should
in the Bible.
convert to Protestantism, or whatever the right word is.
Well, yeah. Then you
Yeah.
got to go to whatever that school is. Okay, so let's shall we think about an October date?
Or that or
Oh,
like,
for game night.
Yeah.
yes.
Game night. Yeah.
But the picnic is
September 19th.
so how far apart do we want to have it away from the picnic is what I was wondering. Do we want to?
Doesn't matter to me. I mean, there's nothing to do after the picnic.
Okay. Well, Saturday the 31st, the 31st, which is Halloween, is a Saturday. So I would recommend that we not do that date.
No.
And so maybe November 7th, just so, I don't know. October 24th.
Well, maybe we should ask the town what's available.
Well, let's pick some dates to give them.
Well, it would be any Saturday night, I'd say from the 24th
I would say the
excluding Halloween.
24th or the 7th.
Okay.
or the 7th, one of those two dates, because then you're getting into the holiday season and that's not going to be good.
Thanksgiving is pretty late, just so you guys know. It's the 26th.
Oh, it is, isn't it?
So
So
should I?
So the 14th isn't too
That
close.
would be all right. The
Okay,
14th would be all right.
I will email Cindy. Cindy's still the person, right? Patty?
As far as I know.
Okay. I'll email her after this meeting about those dates and we'll see. I'm hopeful that they'll be free, but you never know. And
Just to be
then,
clear, those dates being 24, 7, and 14.
yeah, the 24th, 7 and 14th.
What's
And
our
then
preference?
I'll ask her to hold those for us since she
Oh.
seems to hold things for people now.
Just tell her we're not going to talk about it till the next meeting.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay, great. And we think it'll be a bingo night, but I guess we can talk about that later.
Yeah.
We can do that much later.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Let's see. I think next on the agenda is the
Crown Court outstanding topics.
court.
Repurposing.
Well, I know there were some people who wanted to be here. I don't know if they still think it starts at 7:30.
Well,
It's published.
It says 7 p.m. on the town calendar. I
I
mean,
completely agree with you.
It seemed pretty super obvious to me, and I'm not the smartest card in the deck always, but Yeah.
Come on, David. Give yourself some credit. Give yourself some credit. Well, would you mind if we just moved on to another one? Because I think what they have to say may turn us in a completely different direction. And I think we need to talk about it. Can we talk about maybe Ford Field first?
Are you talking about D or F?
D.
D,
Okay.
is that all right with is that all right with people?
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
Let's talk Ford Field.
Okay. So in our last meeting, and people can help me with memory, we couldn't talk about, Darcy had sent out an RFP and she'd gotten 2 bids back from 2 landscape architects or planning departments. And so, and also at some point in time, just to tie all these loose ends together, I think we discussed this last meeting, the council voted to use the funds to first fund the, if you will, the feasibility study for the Ford bathrooms, and then the rest could go to pickleball, and there'd have to be private fundraising. So the proposals that came back from the 2 firms, Darcy met with the firms, and I was able to sit in on those meetings, and I want to kind of share with you, I'm going to share my screen, my thoughts. This is not going where I want it to go. Okay, I have to do a little manipulating here. Okay. So everybody can see this. Okay, so I just want to start out with, and I was hoping both John and Steve would be on this call, because I think they could be very involved with this as well. But we'd been thinking about putting a building at Ford Field, and after these meetings, I sort of came to the realization that we should probably shift our perspective a little bit. Instead of thinking about just constructing a building at Ford, maybe we should think about how to create an inviting area. So instead of thinking restrooms and concessions, think Dorothy Ford picnic area. And I want to just walk you through some reasoning here. What happened in these meetings with the landscape architects is, first of all, these were not inexpensive bids. And my concern is we're going to end up with $1 million building, with a lot of money spent on the planning phase before we even get to the construction phase. And one of the things that came out of both meetings is that we can really decrease our costs if we decrease our scope. And I don't know if you remember, but we had 3 areas that we wanted to sort of scope out. The one over on the right field side, where the existing snack shack was, and then located outside of the 75-foot setback that would be in the parking lot. So we can decrease our costs if we decrease the scope, meaning we decrease that number of locations on the parcel to evaluate, which would lower the number of designs. It would actually lower the actual surveying cost of the parcel. It was pointed out that if they have to survey the entire parcel, that's a lot more expensive than if they survey an area of the parcel. The other thing is that both firms said, why are you even considering building in the setback? And as we know, there's a lot of, there are people that say it makes sense, and there are also a lot of people that are very against it, and not following our own rules. So if we do build within the setback requirements, we know there's less pushback from folks. It actually makes the decisions easier as we move forward, because we're not asking for any kind of special exemption or such. And we do also know, and this was pointed out in the meetings, that the alternative over on the right field side, in the open field, with ADA requirements, you do have to build a paved roadway in. There needs to be paved parking spots. And because that's also so much further from the existing utility hookups, it definitely will be a lot more expensive. And I think for the most part, people didn't generally like that idea anyway, except that it adhered to the setback requirements. They also both said that prefab buildings are definitely, in their mind, the way we're going to have to go for speed and costs. And there are many vendors and layouts available. And it was also mentioned when we were concerned about the building that we could put up some kind of netting that could protect people and still have it be transparent and not really impact the, the experience, shall we say. Okay. So instead of thinking restroom and concession stands, think about creating a picnic area. And it would have flush restrooms, it would have kitchen facilities and the concession stand for Little League. It would have picnic tables, it would have bike racks or a bike rack and bike tools, a water fountain. And with this picnic area, we actually serve a broader array of constituents, the trail users, the cyclists, the field users, and it could be used for group picnic rentals and private parties. People could have a kid's birthday party playing baseball there and such. So, and it wouldn't really change the costs that much. So trying to think about setbacks. I put this together. This is not a landscape architect plan, and it's rough, but I'm hoping it gives you kind of the look and feel for maybe what we could do if we change our perspective a bit. So and I had someone who works with GIS tools do this. The black line is the center line of Alpine Road. And the green band that you see is, it's 115 feet on each side of the center line. So that green band shows you where the building setback is for Alpine.
Oh.
The orange is our existing snack shack. And I asked them to put a building, and it's about 21 by 18, which is the approximate size of the smallest building we could get with restrooms and concessions, right on the 75-foot setback. I said, put it as close as we can to the setback. So, and again, I do want to note, this is approximate. This is not exact, but it gives us an idea of where, oops, excuse me. I got ahead of myself. I pressed some buttons. It gives me an idea of, it gives us an idea of where it goes when we're looking at it from the bird's eye. The other thing is the parking lot looks smaller because the tree lines hang over onto the lot. And so
Yeah.
I asked, to kind of give a boundary of what the lot looked like. And can you guys see my cursor?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if we built something, say here, or it might have to be a little bit back, but this is essentially where where the tip of the cursor is the porta potty. Okay, so this is kind of at the porta potty spot, a little bit over. And think of this area behind it as picnic area. So we we have trees there. We've been told by someone in conservation that the trees are very distressed and they should be looked at. So we have the opportunity to maybe do replanting there and landscaping and turn this into a nice picnic area, as I said, with the bike stands and such. Another thought is there would be a loss of parking, and there has to be I believe at least two ADA parking spots, and there has to be concrete walkway going in. So the question would be, can we take out some of the tree area here to offset the loss in parking we'd get up here? So that's something to think about. Now, we don't have costs or anything like that, but it could streamline things. It could keep our costs fairly in line because, as you can see, the utility connections are basically right here. So it'd be a little bit more to dig the trench but not a lot. We're keeping everything
Yeah.
similar. But we still need to do the feasibility study. We didn't accept any of these proposals because they were maybe too broad for what we needed. So these are just things that were pulled off the internet to kind of give you the idea of what maybe could be the look and feel, sort of. Obviously, these aren't the right size, but this, you can see the field behind it and a building. We could have more picnic tables and such if we have a little bit of a bigger area. And I will click on some of these, and I'll share this with all of you, but there are a number of firms out there. And so this is Romtech, and they these are joint concession buildings and concession and restrooms. And what you need to look at here is folks were getting really hung up on the design of the building and the look and feel. This just gives an idea of their portfolio and how different the buildings can look. And we can pick and choose what style we would want. So I don't know if I'm going too quickly, but I kind of wanted to show this to
Oh, there's some
everybody.
nice ones. Nice ones.
And then here, I'm going to just close that out and go back here. And again, here's some exterior options, because nobody should be thinking exactly what it should look like. It's just, this is to kind of let you see what's out there. And we shouldn't get hung up on any particular exterior, because there's a lot that can be done. That's really the point of what I'm trying to do here. That's a very modern looking one. Okay, then on to, and it's the same thing with these links, and I'll send them to all of you. And then I just, down at the bottom, I just Googled, and you can do the same thing. I just Googled prefab restrooms, and you can see all the different
Wow.
options and styles of what we could have. So
Oh, I like
we're
outhouse.
this style here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just to kind of give people a feel for that. And then these are some that have concessions buildings. Like, there's that one planning commissioner mentioned something. Maybe we should looking at the more modern things that are coming around. They do have things like this. So this is just to kind of give you, look, we could even have this. No, that's a
We could have
shipping
a
container.
sponsor.
But the point of this is there are options, and we can find something that will work for us. Okay, so moving on. Sorry. So the other thought is if we narrow, this would essentially be narrowing our scope, right, in the feasibility, because we'd be willing to build with adhering to the setbacks and not be looking at just in the setback area. Obviously, we need to work with Little League and the appropriate committees. I did speak with someone from conservation, and I said, what would be appropriate screening there? And she said things like Toyon and Coffee Berry. They're all, large privacy screening hedges, so we could block that out from Alpine Road. And then the other thing is we've taken the approach to go to council and have it be a council project. But Portola Valley doesn't really go that way. I mean, if you will, it would be the sort of the first thing. And I actually do feel that council is more used to being at the end of the line, and that they want ASCC and the Planning Commission, if necessary, to be involved. And we could meet with the ASCC once we had the designs and get the comments and the buy-off there. And so when we bring it to council, I would assume they'd be happy that ASCC and planning have looked at it. Some other thoughts are, if we do new plantings, if we We could have the scouts involved with that as Eagle projects or a community day. We could have a community planting day. I need to stop touching my screen and moving the cursor. We could maybe tie it to Earth Day. These are all ideas. And then also, if we're making this a picnic area, there may be opportunity for extra grants. As a Alpine Road Trail was named as a priority conservation area, so we need to check into that because there's grants associated with that. And then I don't know if this is going to go anywhere. I asked Darcy to check into it. I read in the almanac that La Entrada is looking at redoing its field and creating some other amenities there, and they're looking at trying to get a state grant for that. And I thought if Menlo Park and La Entrada can do that, we can probably do that too. So again, just throwing that out as an idea. And just kind of last is to get people's overall thoughts and ideas about this picnic area concept versus, as I said, it being a building. And should we go forward and sort of change the process where we meet with ASCC prior to the council? Should we also look at trying to offset the parking that we're going to take away by building outside of the 75-foot, or adhering to the setbacks is a better way to say that. Would it be too expensive? Is this scope creep? And how do we best engage the community in the project? So that's it in a nutshell, and I'd love to open it up for discussion.
We'll start with questions from the committee first. David Bailey.
What happens if we turn the right field area into a gravel lot?
Right field.
So it,
Oh.
you mean you don't, okay, let me just understand, not that we would put the restroom and concessions there, that we would
That we'd use
have it
that
be,
area
that'd be
to
have the
like
parking lot, or would that also have the
to
restroom?
offset the parking and to create more parking. We would create parking in the right field.
It's an idea to explore.
Right.
How do you feel about, because David, you and I were the ones that went and looked at the snack shack and didn't, we're kind of like, oh, we should keep it where it is. How do you feel about sort of this change of perspective?
I'm not buying in the whole, like, we have a picnic area there now, right? Everything you mentioned is already there. There's picnic tables there. There's a water fountain there, right? So I think you're just marketing at this point. I don't know if I've ever seen anyone use like those bike tool things. But I don't like if we're just making a strategic pivot to stay outside of the setback, then that's fine.
What do you feel, David, about the impact of home runs there?
I think it would need to have the net. We'd have to make a net like they have at the ball games for foul balls.
Yeah, it's more like left center, but I think you still get not as many as true left, but still probably a lot of balls out there.
There's not many of these kids are hitting home runs, so it's not a huge risk, but it's still.
I was there for my one game. I watched a friend's grandson, and there was a kid that hit a home run out into it's not direct center. It was more left than where that building would be, but he hit it well. I was like, oh, it was a nice line drive, just shot right out there. Probably landed 15 feet outside the fence, maybe.
Wow.
Yeah, but those are unusual. And the kid, it was a really fast pitch, which is why when the kid connected, it really went. Yeah.
Hey everyone, sorry I'm late. I just got home from softball practice for my daughter.
Well, you're actually good timing. Karen, can you just actually show that one picture for Steve. I wanna go through
Sure.
the
Yeah.
whole
Yeah.
presentation.
Um, it's interesting
We
that
were talking about the Ford Field bathroom, and Karen's come up with some
Huh.
ideas about
I guess
placement.
hang on a second. I'm gonna unshare for a second until I find it. I must have closed out my Chrome. Oh, here we go. Okay. I know what I did. Okay.
Spoiler alert, moving the snack shack outside of the setback into the parking lot.
Okay, in that left field spot.
Yeah.
So here, I think this is the one, Patty, you wanted me to show.
Yeah.
Okay, so s- uh so essentially really quickly, Steve, if we build and adhere to the setbacks, we're going to have an easier process, more streamlined process. And this, gosh, every time I hit my cursor, I'm doing that. So this diagram shows this is the center line of Alpine Road, and this green band is
Scenic
115 feet on each side of Alpine Road, because Alpine Road is 80 feet for a right of way, and then 75 feet over. So this gives us an idea of where we could build. So the orange building is the snack shack with its little deck. And this is the porta potties. The porta potties are right here. And this is where I said put the building right up to the 75-foot line, the setback.
Yeah.
Now this building can move down. Again, this is approximate. It's for, illustrative purposes, just to kind of show that. And then the idea would be that we gussy up this area. There has to be concrete parking and I don't know if we'll need a ramp because it's flat there, but we'll need a walkway,
Paved
on
access. Yeah.
on the building and all of that for ADA purposes, but that this area would be, we would create what's called the Dorothy Ford picnic area. And in so doing, it would have bike racks and, the water bottle filler and bike tools, and probably, more picnic tables. And it could be, the kitchen would be similar to what's in Community Hall, if you guys know, but so it could be rented out if somebody wanted to have a birthday party there in the picnic area or use the field. So it becomes a broader use
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah. So the picnic area in the existing footprint of today's snack shack is not in violation of any of the scenic corridor or the setback.
No, it's building in the
Building only.
setback.
Okay.
And so even the parking lot is not in violation, right? You can
Yeah.
put parking within there, you just can't build.
Build. Okay.
So this would just be, more refined and nicer.
Yeah. I think that looks good. The one thing that we would lose if we took that space up is just the gathering areas, because parents back their cars up right there instead of sitting in the bleachers behind home plate or on the left or right field baseline. Like that whole area is typically used for folks that back up into it and they have the kids play in the car, and you don't have to monitor them as closely as if they're roaming around in the Poison Oak and the creek. But I think that is a small cost, because we could also put like a little small row of bleachers right there to make up for the lost space, right?
Well, the current picnic tables are like right here. So
No, I'm talking about more seating area to watch the game, and not the picnic tables, because the picnic tables view from the field is it's nice to eat, but you're not really able to watch the game closely.
So you're
Okay.
saying maybe put some bleachers there.
Yeah, exactly. Just to the right of the line box square, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Just like 2 rows of bleachers where
Other
people can
side.
sit there.
No,
Yeah,
you
right.
mean, you said to the right,
Right.
to this right?
Yeah, yeah.
This right?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh. See,
But I don't
put
think
to
it's
the left.
not going to extend out. We're talking like 8 to 10 feet. I think that length of the cursor from the where the cursor is now to the orange box is probably like 30 feet. I'm talking
Why
about
don't you
just like
put
a,
it to the left where it's in the shade?
yeah, you
Well,
could do that too. Yeah, yeah.
I think we don't need to get into where necessarily specifically where it goes, because
Yeah,
I think
that's
we
fair.
can give that instruction to the designer
Yeah,
and maybe
yeah, yeah.
look at different options for that.
Yeah.
If we give the designer, though, if we say, okay, we're talking about this vicinity and we want to create this picnic area and we'll need a net and we want to consider bleachers, but we don't know how much those cost and how they'll look, right? That's where we need the help.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's a great idea. When we had discussed this as one of the alternatives, I believe in the original mock-up, it was much closer to the third baseline.
It
And
was like dead center in the parking lot, I thought.
yeah, exactly.
So I thought so too. And that's why when this was drawn, I was like, that doesn't seem that much further away. So one of the things that I need to do is go back and absolutely confirm
Yeah.
what I'm showing you. But as I said, the person that helped me do this, I said, I want to make sure you've got this 115 feet from the center line. And they said, absolutely. So, each of this is 115 feet. And I do know that when I measured this edge of the snack shack to the white
Center line.
line, this
Yeah.
was like about 40 feet. So that might, it's close. This isn't exact, but it's representative.
Close. Yeah.
So that's something else though that we absolutely need to double check. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, I like that.
David, did you have another question?
Oh, is it the Dorothy Ford picnic area or the Your Name Here picnic area?
Well, that's a good question. Do you want it if you want the David Bailey picnic
I'm
fee,
saying I
we
want
can
my
talk.
name. I want someone else, some other name.
Sponsoring rights.
Well, we do know that Susan Ford has been very gracious and will donate significantly to this project with a matching program. Her name is Susan Ford Dorsey, excuse me. But I think that we've talked about a donor wall and things like that. So, but I like your idea.
Okay, any other questions from the committee before I open it up? Okay, David Cardinal, you had a comment? A question?
I did. I think they've mostly been handled. First of all, I think the positioning is good. I don't think we're going to get the right to put things back where the snack shack is. I think that's a lost cause. And I think the marketing for where Karen has put it is kind of like, okay, it's a row of 5 dumpsters and 5 porta potties. Like, it couldn't be worse as an eyesore. So putting something useful there, I think, is great. And the picnic area ideas, I think, is great. I'm not too sure that many little leaguers are going to crush people's skulls. Frankly, it's more dangerous to be off the first base line in the open space than it is to be ahead of outside the home run line. So, and that's fine. So I think it looks pretty cool. I think it's a good idea. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay. Robert, I see you on the call. Do you have any additional thoughts about that?
This project's mainly being managed directly with Darcy, so not at this time. I'll let you coordinate with the town manager as necessary and with the landscape architect. If you have any questions for me or need me to coordinate as part of it, just let me know.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we'll move on to discussion about next steps. I think you laid them out pretty well, Karen. I mean, I think this was a really good concept. I think we should run it up though. Oh, Bob Adams. Sorry, didn't see your hand.
Bob?
Bob, you're on mute.
Bob disappeared.
Okay, never mind. I think it's a good timed up. I think you laid out some of the next steps. I do like your idea.
Can you hear me?
Oh, we
Can
can
you hear
now.
me?
Yeah,
Okay, I had the wrong earphones in. I'm sorry, you couldn't hear me.
all right.
I just have a basic question because I know that there were funds that were available for the resurfacing, and those funds were transferred to a study for the baseball field. Is that a recommendation that came from you, or did that come from the town council?
It was not a recommendation. We presented to the town council the Ford Field bathroom project, and they decided to redirect the funds they had originally set aside for court resurfacing the Ford Field bathroom project. It was a
Okay,
town council decision, not a Parks and Rec decision.
thank you.
Welcome. Okay, so I don't know, Karen, you laid out the next steps.
Well,
I think-
I'll get back to Darcy because she knows that we were going to meet because we needed to make sure that Parks and Rec is going to recommend this this new perspective. And she is the one who's coordinating with the landscape architects and was going back to them. Oh, I do have one more question for you guys. Going back to them to try to narrow the scope and talk to them a little bit about how they could decrease their costs and maybe not have so many staff on the project and things like that. But one of the things that I realized when talking to Patty is that we also the landscape architects were never given a budget, meaning that we didn't say we have, X money to spend. And therefore, that's also probably one of the reasons why if you don't give someone a budget, they're going to want to create the Taj Mahal. So my question is do we want to offer any kind of budget at this point? I mean, it's going to have to all be from the grant and private donations. So, but we don't want $1 million. I did tell them we do not want $1 million bathroom, and that includes any planning costs. So, they did get that message, but I just am interested in people's thoughts on that.
Well, if we've only got 40K for phase one, shouldn't the budget be 40K?
Yeah, but as they're designing, we have to limit them to looking at what can we do. My goal was that I want it to be under $500,000.
Oh, easily.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
But
That's
you
what-
have,
David's got his hand up, so.
yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
I have my hand up about.
David, you're up.
Yeah, I totally forgot what I had my hand up about.
Put your hand down, David.
All right. Well, I'm gonna talk to Darcy about her directing them to as they're thinking about this project, they're not thinking about a, multi-million-dollar project. We're talking about a simple, quick, but beautiful solution. Okay.
Yeah, I feel like we kind of were on the same page until we had the meeting in person with, was it the planning
Planning
commission?
and the ACC combined.
Yeah. And they started to encourage us to match it, make something great, make it look like town center, right? Which is obviously going to double the price, at least to get it into that vein compared to the prefab model that we had before. So I don't know. I'm always like a little apprehensive to share what my budget is with a contractor because most of the time they're just going to get it as close to that number, if not higher, as possible in my experience. We could ask for a 3-phase approach, like a good, better, best, from a design and a cost standpoint. I don't know if that's going to be more work and cost more money up front, but that's something that I've done in the past with contractors that I, wanted to get a good assessment and architects that we wanted to get a good first assessment with, but not act as if we had a blank checkbook in front of us.
David, is
Okay,
your hand up for real?
Yeah. How do we triple check the setback and possible locations in a lightweight manner?
So Darcy's probably better at answering this question, but my understanding is that with the original RFP that came out, they would have to survey the entire Ford property because we had right field, we had the right field location on there. And then we had the two locations, one in the parking lot and one there. And they said, if we can actually narrow the location, that will decrease the survey costs a lot. And what would have to happen, there's two things. Darcy said, one of the things we can do is do something the old-fashioned way. And Dave, you could come with us where we actually, get a measuring tape out and measure it and get as close an approximation. And then there would be, and this would be in this first phase one feasibility study, they would do the survey. So their estimates included a surveyor, a civil engineer surveyor, or civil engineering firm that would do the survey.
Yeah, that's the non-lightweight way. I mean, right now there's this big discrepancy between what you originally presented and you created a map and said that the restroom, the only available space was right in the middle of the parking lot, and what you're showing now. So do we fully understand the change in assumptions between those two maps, and are we sure about that we can put it in what seems like an agreeable spot right now?
So the first thing that I did, I dropped it in. So I would say that wasn't as approximate as what you just saw today, which is why, it looks better. But I don't know if you were in the meeting, I could talk to Nona Cheriello as well, because she drew some stuff for, I don't know if it was open space or it had to have been open space where they were looking at, and she drew a setback line, but it looked like it was further out. So I'll talk to her. That's one of the things I have down is to confirm the setback issues and talk to Darcy about it. Because Darcy said, maybe one of the things we do is we just go out and we measure it the old fashioned way
I was
too.
gonna say, I'll go out there with you with the measuring tape.
Yeah.
The GIS, like I'm happy, like if what you would have projected on your map is good enough for the approximate, it's just like really understanding, like, is that the real setback, or do we miss something in the setbacks bigger because it's 75 feet from the 80, or I don't know.
Well, no, I do know, I have been told that Alpine Road is 80 feet. The right of way for Alpine Road is 80 feet, which is much wider than what the road is. So
Right,
then
but
you
then
have to work from the 80 feet, which is why you have 40, right, on each
Yeah.
side of the road, and then you add the 75, which is why
Yeah.
it's
So then I guess
115.
understanding what happened on the original maps that Nona or whatever.
Okay. Yeah, I'll go back and check that.
Misleading, I guess.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Steve, did you have another question, or is your hand still up?
Me, yeah, I have a question. A comment and a
David.
question.
Steve,
Um,
is your
oh.
hand up? Did you want to say something?
No, sorry, I thought it dropped.
All right, sorry. Go ahead, David. Pardon.
Yeah, on the surveying thing, honestly, you don't know until you know. So without a survey, it's all kind of a crapshoot, and I'm happy to roll with that. But like at Alpine Hills, we found out that the people who sold to us Alpine Hills sold part of the lot to the Lee property next door. So there's overlapping property lines, and the actual center lines of the roads aren't really where they're supposed to be, and they're not where they are on GIS. So until there's a legal survey recorded at the county, you can't be sure. Now, I'm happy to plan. You can plan for whatever you want, but there's a reason there's surveyors. The other thought is, as far as the contractors, Darcy, in my experience, is super smart. She's done development for Stanford and for a lot of towns. And I think we can kind of follow her lead as to letting her know what we want done, what we think our budget is, and letting her craft a lot of the RFP and stuff. Because I think, she's certainly way better than I am, and probably better than any of us are at that. So I think, the good news is she's way, way better than anyone we've had in my memory at this job. So I think she can help a lot with that. So that's my comment.
Thank you. All right, so what I'm hearing from the committee is we have support for Karen to go back to Darcy to tell her that this is our recommendation, and we'd like to know the best steps forward to keep this moving as expeditiously as possible.
Okay, and I'll send you all a copy of the PowerPoint so you can look at it, because I know some of you missed it. Steve, there's more. It's not a big thing, but at least you could have the whole thing.
No, it's good.
So, and I'll send it to Darcy as well. Although Darcy, we had chatted about this after the meetings, so
Yeah.
she knows this is what we were thinking.
Okay. Thank you, Karen. That's a great job. Gosh, I wish we could just move this thing forward. So time is ticking. All right. Anything else on Ford Field? All right, go
Your
back.
hands up again, so that was a clap. Never mind.
Ford.
Oh, I have a question about Ford. Steve, I don't know if you can answer this. How is the parking situation? Maybe that's under parking.
That's
later,
that's not appropriate for right now.
Yeah, so I do have some context. I know that the Alpine president is in constant contact with whoever the POC at ZOTS is, and they're coordinating together on when full utilization of the parking lot is required. So we can bring it up in the next subject, but I know that
Okay.
they're in contact.
Yeah, we have an agenda item on that.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Thanks. Sorry.
Point of order. Can't do that when you're chairman either. Just kidding. All right, let's go back to the court. All right. So, people recall we have kind of three things on the court that we're talking about. The RFPs for the court resurfacing. We have the court realignment. And then,
Fundraising,
we had the,
Usage
fundraising.
realignment or
fundraising, sorry. Fundraising. Which kind of goes with the RFPs. Okay, status of, I'm gonna go back. Okay, so the town sent out a request for RFP. We got back 2 responses. I think we talked about this at the last meeting. One was really high, Taj Mahal, rebuild, resurface, float on dry and ice a little bit, very high. And one was 35,000, which is Saviano. The town council had previously to that allocated $30,000 to the town resurfacing project. Since the RFP came in at 35,000, the lower one, we needed to go back to the town council and request an additional $5,000 to accept a lower quote from Saviano. In the same meeting as doing that, we presented the concept for the Ford Field bathroom and requested money for phase 1 of the design project, which Karen talked about just briefly, which entailed bringing in the RFPs. and then moving to the next phase, which would be phase and, concept work, things like that. Okay. It was kind of figured out that we had $51,000 to spend. That was, we had about 45,000 in the Parks and Rec in lieu fund, which is designated to Parks and Rec projects. Also had saved about $6,000 in our budget from ZOTS and the town picnic. And we asked for permission to use that money towards our projects. So 45,000 plus 6,000, 51,000 to allocate. The town council decided at that time that they wanted to prioritize phase one study, Ford Field bathroom, ahead of court resurfacing using town dollars. So they allocated $40,000 to the Ford Field bathroom projects for phase one. And that's what Karen is working on, which left $11,000 for the court resurfacing, which was obviously not enough because we needed 35 plus contingency. Let's just say we needed 4,000. So we were instructed by town council at that time that we had approval to begin a PV fund project to raise the additional funds for the court resurfacing. So that's where we left it. I have that right, everybody?
Yes.
All right. So that is what we have been working towards. As a result of that project, we talked about the court realignment, which was keeping court 2 exactly the same, but swapping court 1 and court 3. So the court 3 would now become the dedicated pickleball court. And we would use court 1 as the combination tennis basketball court. We did not have cost estimates for that at the time. So the town issued fees for the movement of the basketball hoops, which would be required from court 3 to court 1. So that would all become one consolidated project. The RFP for moving the basketball hoops came in at $35,000, which was also Saviano. After Robert and I picked ourselves up off the floor, which seemed very high to us, is to move basketball hoops, but I'm not an engineer. So I think one of the things we can do is go back and, talk about revisiting the RFP. But that would put the total project, the court resurfacing, plus the court realignment at like $80,000. And we would need to raise the funds for the majority of that. That seemed a little monumental for us. So bringing it back to the committee to talk about, given that as where we are, what would the committee propose to do as we move forward? In terms of options, in terms of ideas, in terms of, I'm pretty much going in parallel that I could be ready, we, the biblical we, could be ready to start a fundraising campaign in the next week. But the question is, are we raising money for the court resurfacing? Are we raising money for the court resurfacing plus the court realignment? Or do we think we have other options? So that's what I would like the committee to discuss at this point in time. Now, Robert, I see your hand. I just want to make sure. Cindy, do I have that right?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So I'm gonna call on Robert because he's been working with us on this. And I'm assuming, Robert, you just want to help add clarity to what I just talked about.
Yeah, I just want one clarification point. If there's a change in the scope, when we took the revised budget with the scope to town council and got approval to start fundraising on that, that can proceed forward. I do not think town council has been brought a revised scope with the modification to the courts. So I don't think we have approval on that scope yet. I think that would have to be brought to town council.
That's fair. Thank you.
Start fundraising next week. Just
Yeah.
a heads up.
Yeah, I agree. That's fair. Thank you for that clarification. So to Robert's point, if we decided to go the whole bonanza, we would have to go back to town council and get approval for the higher amount to fundraise because they have to approve the projects for the PV fund. And this would be an increase in scope for the project. Okay, questions? David Bailey, go ahead.
I'll lower my hand. Robert, did you review the two proposals, and does the lower cost proposal from Saviano fix to an adequate degree some of the inherent flaws in the court, in particular all the cracks and the seepage from said cracks?
The work with Saviano would fix a certain degree of the cracks. It does not modify the foundational elements, so it would involve sealing the cracks to a degree. There's a likelihood that in 5-10 years from now, we may have to resurface this again. It could be, 10 years, it could be 15, who knows. There is some foundation that will remain, but they would be sealing the cracks, repairing the cracks, and we have asked that to the best of their ability, they try to deal with the puddling of water. They noted that they could get it better, but likely could not make it perfect.
And then what was as a follow-up, how much extra was the Taj Mahal resurfacing, and would that fully solve the issue?
I don't have that immediately in front of me. I believe it was 200 something. Okay.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. All right. Never mind. We're not doing that anyway. Okay.
Thank
Enough
you.
said. And then while I have your attention, can you please check your email? Because I just pinged you about something else that's not Parks and Rec related, but is town engineer related.
Okay. Karen, go ahead.
So first, I'm going to apologize because I was a little distracted while you were talking. But the original bid of 35,000 from Saviano,
I'm talking all the time, or just you just
no, just happened to be at that moment. Anyway,
just checking.
I just want to make sure I've got this straight. The 35,000 bid from Saviano is still the bid for the resurfacing, but when we were told it would be $5,000 to $10,000 to move the basketball hoops, that was just a guess that was not anywhere near what it needed to be. Okay. Wow. Just wanted to make sure.
I think Robert could go into this. My understanding is Saviano realized that they had to do a lot more with the posts and cement work, and it got more involved.
I thought the posts are outside of the court.
But they still have to be new posts.
Robert, can you elaborate on that?
So there are existing posts. It would be more cost to fully remove the existing posts and to basically demolish a section of the court to get the existing posts out. The existing posts are in line with the fencing. The most efficient and effective solution with the existing posts would be to cut them to length flush with the existing fencing at those locations. And then to install new posts. Saviano came out on a little bit on short notice. I was off on the Friday and they contacted me on Friday and came out on Monday. In talking to them after their site visit, they noted that they would be unable to demolish and put the new posts directly in line flush with the fencing without significant cost, and therefore the best, cleanest, and most professional option they felt would be to locate any new posts slightly inwards, offset inwards inside the fencing.
So would there be an alternative, another alternative that would not have the posts in the court, but either on the fence or outside the fence hanging over?
There could be alternatives. We could look into that. That would be an increased price. If we wanted to have them in line, there's an existing concrete curb and concrete curb work that runs along the fence. If you look there,
Yeah,
there'd
there
be
is.
concrete work associated with that. Outside, there's existing irrigation lines that run directly outside that area that would come into effect and be of issue at that location.
Okay.
They are possible. I just basically, it was Saviano Company's impression that those solutions would be more expensive.
And we didn't get any other responses, correct?
Responses for
The RFP for the moving the hoops, or did we just ask Saviano?
So originally Saviano provided that quote. I asked a few others in the area. There are very few contractors that perform this work in the area. Overall, a total of 3 contractors were asked. Of them, 3 or 4, I forget. Don't quote me on that. I might have asked 4. Of them, we only got responses from Saviano and then another contractor who would not do the work unless they were also given the entire court project. Of the 2 contracts, sorry, go ahead. Of the 2 contractors, both were not willing to reuse the existing backboards due to liability reasons, and noted that if they tried to reinstall it, they would be unable to at best, and would need to install some pretty ugly plating in order to make it even remotely safe. And basically just said they were unwilling to do that with the existing situation because they'd be unable to basically keep it there in both cases.
Okay. Not sure I understand that, but okay. All right, Steve, go ahead. You're on mute.
Sorry. I was curious about the fundraising community and the anticipated interest from the community in donating to whatever portion is required. Do we think it's going to be an obstacle, or are there folks on board like what Karen had mentioned for the field?
Sydney May, I don't think we had concerns about raising the initial 35 for court resurfacing. I think we felt pretty confident we could do that. There's not, to my knowledge, one big one. It would just be, kind of a mass pickleball effort primarily. The 80,000, I think would be tough. That's just I don't know, Cindy, would you agree with that?
I would agree with that because we have less than 100 regular players, and only regular players would donate. You know, the person that comes once every 3 months isn't going to put down money. And so with between 70 and 100 people, to get 80,000 would be tough.
Yeah. How much of from the pickleball community, how much of a benefit is the basketball court reconfiguration? Like, how valuable is that? Is that a nice to have, or is that like a game changing change that?
Our problem with the court that is now currently pickleball is that the pickleball courts get very close to the fence, and that area has trees that cause rain and debris to stay on the
Yeah.
courts for many days. And so that's the least favorable court. 2 and 3 are great courts. They are both empty. But it felt funny to say, oh, let's take 2 and split the 2 tennis courts.
Yeah.
Because, you know, Corte Madera has their tennis in the spring, and she likes to have the courts next to each other. And so the ideal situation would be to have moved the basketball courts, but it's also the most expensive. Court 2 is still an option. I did talk to Tracy, the tennis instructor, about how awful that would be. She said it would be an inconvenience, but surmountable. I mean, she was, you know, she was actually kind of nice about it. It would be like, if that's the best solution we can get, then take court 2, or, you know, use court 2 for pickleball. But it just feels odd to have that in the center of these 2 tennis courts. So 3 is the best option if it were affordable.
Yeah, court 3 is the best. It's like the little bears. What? Good, better, best. You're right. Yeah, court 3 is the best. Court 2 is better. Court 1 is bad.
Yeah, it's bad, but it's okay for tennis because tennis is far enough away from that fence and that wet spot that it would be much less of a hindrance. When it's rainy or wet, or we have debris, which is often because of the trees, we lose 2 courts usage, the 2 end courts.
The issue kind of becomes, it's almost a chicken and egg, which is if you really want to do the court resurfacing and the repainting, once you paint the lines, you're kind of stuck with that court.
Yeah.
At least until you paint them the next time, right? So if we don't move the hoops and paint the pickleball lines on court 1, you're kind of stuck with court 1
for
right?
A few years.
So, and the trees, and so it's kind of a chicken and egg. Karen, go ahead.
I don't want to belabor this issue, but we also know that the trees are a problem, which is what's causing the debris and the wetness. And I'm just going to throw this out because I'm trying to think about solutions. Would it make sense to raise money to get those trees trimmed to make court 1 better? Because the town doesn't have money to do that. Right. And so we kind of said, well, let's just flip the courts. But now I'm going to throw that back into the mix, only because maybe the tree trimming doesn't cost $45,000. Maybe it does, because everything seems to be very pricey. But I'm just throwing that out there.
Both those trees are pretty darn close to the court, so you couldn't trim them enough to not kill them.
Isn't it also the pooling, or the fact that courts are
Pooling.
slanted, so when it rains, the water pools on court 1.
Court 1.
But Saviano hopefully will be addressing that as much as they can.
They could help it, but not
Yeah.
fix it 100%.
But the debris and it staying wet is due to the lack of light.
Of sunshine.
Yeah.
I disagree. I think they stay wet because it will seep out of the cracks there for
That's true too.
another day. Right. I think it gets enough light to dry out. It's just that the water keeps coming and keeps coming and keeps coming.
Also, Saviano is not going to reslope the courts. The courts are downhill from 3 to 1.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions for the committee? Otherwise, I'll open it up for public comments, and then we're gonna bring it back for discussion. Okay. Cardinal, I think you had your hand up first. Go ahead.
A comment and a question. First of all, Saviano, whether they're great or almost great, they're the people we've worked with at Alpine Hills for, I don't know, 50 years, and they're good. What you're paying them to do is a resurfacing, it's not a rebuilding. So if you want to fix drainage, then you have to dig down a foot and put in drains between the courts and all that, which obviously we're not going to do. So it's not going to be a miracle. It's not going to stop tree roots from pushing things up. And even the water coming up from below isn't always due to the cracks. It's often due to the way the courts work. They are slanted at 1 degree. So I'm all for it. I think it's great, but I just want to make sure everybody knows that it's not a panacea. We've done this a lot at Alpine. 30 years I've been involved, and Bob's younger than me, but he might have some other experience that before my time, as far as how that actually works out. But we have to keep redoing them because of the water. So I think that's all great, and go for it. My question is, do we gain anything? I'm not saying this in a good or bad way, but obviously our basketball hoops are, I don't want to say ancient, but old. If we put new ones somewhere else, is there actually a benefit to the basketball players or anyone? Are they better in some way, or is it just money to move them around? So that's it for me. Thank you.
Thanks, David. Bob Adams, you're up.
Yes, I've got 3 or 4 questions. One is what made the council take the money away from the resurfacing? I mean, obviously there was competition, and for some reason it was there. They approved saying, okay, we can use it for the resurfacing, but then now they're saying, nope, not resurfacing. We're going to take that away, and you're going to fundraise. That's my first question. My second is that there are annual costs for all the fields, and those costs are ongoing. There's almost no cost for the tennis court, but every 10 years you have to resurface. So we're at the 10-year time, and we have to resurface. And now, instead of having to pay all this money year by year by year for a field, we haven't cost the town to do that. Now the town is saying, now you guys fundraise because you have to do something to fix your courts. It just seems like a very unfair position to be in, and I don't know why they did it. I wish I had been in the meeting to be able to voice my concern. The third thing is, if we're going to do something to the courts, I think we want to fix this problem of what's the primary court, and the primary court is better to be court 3. It dries the fastest, it slopes down, it's got a screen to stop the balls. It's the right thing. So if we're going to do this, we should include moving the basketball. I understand the cost, and I'm interested to see who's going to be running the campaign to get $80,000. That to me, I've raised a lot of money. I've started 2 foundations that have $1 million a year income now, and it's a hard job. And I'm interested to know who's going to take on that challenge, and why are they motivated to do it. So it's easy to say, you guys go raise the money, especially when it was kind of in our bucket to start with, and then it was taken out. So I have some frustration with what's gone on. And the last thing is, as far as the posts inside the fence for basketball, yes, it would be better outside as far as the spacing, but it's 21 feet from the baseline to the fence, from the back of the tennis court. 21 feet is further than what we have at Alpine Hills. We have about 15 feet at Alpine, 16 feet at Alpine Hills. So there's a lot of room behind there. The post is not going to be a problem. If we have to, you put up an insulating mat to keep people from running into the post. But I don't think that's going to happen one time out of a year. So my concern is the money being taken away and allocated to something else. It's a very difficult situation to be in. And I don't know tomorrow morning I get to tell all the people kind of what's gone on. And my guess is they've got a lot of unhappy people.
Thank you, Bob. Any other comments? Questions?
No?
Okay. Bob, I think I know everybody on this call shares your frustration. We were at the meeting, we made the play for court resurfacing. We made the play for the Ford Field. I can't tell you why they did it. It's their discretion. They decided to prioritize. I think one comment was, this is kind of once in a lifetime type of thing. Bigger bang for the buck. And we've got the $180,000 grant that we need to spend within a certain time frame or we lose it. I think they just felt it was the project that had the highest priority, and it was their discretion to move the dollars. I know Karen can maybe.
Yeah, I think another thing is at the time, the cost presented was 35,000. And there was talk of general funds. I actually wrote written comments. So I think there was this feeling that it would be easier, and not that this is right, but I think when it came to the ability to fundraise from the pickleball community, which would have been 35 minus 11, right? An extra 11,000, Patty. It would have been around 25,000. And so this decision was made in that. I can tell you that I wrote a letter last week or whenever for the council meeting, talking about the fact that the town needed, this is me personally, that the town needed to be planning and budgeting for maintenance. And I use the courts as an example. And that there's a lack of foresight in terms of that. And as they move there, because they're going into their next budget cycle now, and I asked for them to really put aside funds for just the general maintenance of everything. That's about all I can say. Is there I think what Patty said is right, is and they had to look at it, and they didn't want to take funds away from anywhere else. They're trying to balance their budget, and they're just in a hard situation.
I do understand that they only have a certain amount of money. When they reallocate, it's awfully hard. And I know that Steve is happy about this. We are very unhappy. And I guess the other thing is, how much money is in that fund right now? How much money is in the town fund?
The Parks and Lieu Fund has about 46,000 in it.
The town fund has 46,000 in it?
The Parks and Rec Fund has.
No, I'm asking about the nonprofit fund that the town has. How much money is in that? Because that's what they're saying.
Zero.
There's none.
There's no fund.
It's
There is a fund that is was started by John Gruden, and
And
he
it's-
started. And
Right.
is there any money
There's
in that?
zero funds.
Okay, thank you.
That is that's by project. So you open a project for the PV fund and people contribute to it. It's not a fund that generally accepts, well, I guess it could, but it's project specific. But right now, there's zero funds there.
Okay, thank you.
As far as the maintenance question you asked, again, we share your frustration. I mean, to ask for $30,000 every 10 years to resurface the courts, in my humble opinion, is basic expectations. And we do spend a lot of money on the fields. I told you this, I don't think it's a 1-for-1. Obviously, grass fields need a lot more maintenance than cement. But that's not to say that we shouldn't get our due once every 10 years. But the council decided this.
Just to put Bob's question in perspective, I would think that probably everyone on the committee, if they had to vote between allocating funds to Dorothy Ford Field to get that bathroom and shack going versus resurfacing the courts. I see why the town council voted that way, honestly. I think we should do both. But I don't think that was criminal or anything of them to decide that the Ford Field concession stand bathrooms were more important.
Well, I think we can argue this till the cows come home, but I think we should talk about the situation that we are in. So, as to who's going to run the fundraising campaign, quite frankly, I think it's just going to be a grassroots thing. We can
I've
have some,
I've raised a fair amount of money in funds for these foundations that I've told you about. And this is not something that you just do part of the time or you do a little bit here and a little bit there. You need a campaign. And I don't know who's going to run that campaign, and it is not going to be me.
It'll probably be me.
well, I'm working with John Golden,
Yeah, John
Um,
Goulden would be. Yeah.
TV Fund, so it might be me.
So Bob, I just want to better understand though, you are in favor of doing the change of the court, the court, the change of court 1 and court 3, correct?
I actually feel strongly about it, and I feel strongly enough that I think we should table this for a year, come back and hope that we can get the budget to do what we need to do. I think we could have raised $25,000 to make the thing work out. I think all the pickleball people that I talk to, and I certainly don't talk to all of them, but all of them that I talk to, they all think it's a great idea to have it court 3 and have the curtain between and all the things that happen that we've talked about. And that I know I personally, I would put $5,000 into it in a minute if I knew we could do that. But I'm not going to start that unless I know we can get to the end. And 25,000, I think we can get there. 80,000, I'd like to see somebody do it.
Is there any other spot that we could put basketball hoops and courts? And the reason I ask is like, it doesn't need to be a perfect surface. I maybe I'm wrong on that, but
No, it
like
needs to
Alpine
be,
has a hoop. It's not a half court. And it's out there near the tennis courts, but I'm just wondering if there's some other spot where we could put the basketball. I guess there's not, but that way that could, it would be a difference. I'm trying to find solutions, and maybe we don't have them.
I appreciate that.
I don't know where there's space to do it.
Yeah, maybe in the dog park.
In the dog park.
Be nice, Dave. I'm trying to work together.
Potentially, there's a spot. Do you know what's the name of the family that lives up the road that goes behind the soccer field?
Oh,
Anyway, there's a fence there where it goes into their driveway, and it's the end of the parking lot back there. It's kind of a
No,
no zone at the end of the soccer field up to that fence. Could be a basketball hoop, but I can't see how you'd fit two, like for a full game. Although, as I understand it, people don't play full game.
They don't. So that's really not a problem. The tennis net would already stop a full game, and they don't play full games. That on court 3, there's a
So-
tennis net.
Having one basketball hoop would be enough for the town?
I don't-
I think you want-
Going from
people play-
4 to 1 would be a pretty hard sell.
Yeah. People play half court, but having 2 half courts, I think, is kind of the way
How
people
much you'd
roll.
need? You'd need
Yeah,
space to do half court.
realistically, and if we could put that there, not to reiterate my pun from before, but we could put the dog park there, honestly. So
If it's
but
stop
that's a,
it. Stop it.
sorry. But that's a whole, it's a big bunch of pavement and expensive, and I'm all for looking at that, but if we could do that, we could do a lot of things.
Mm.
Let me just ask one more question that's a little bit off of where we are right now, and that is the fundraising. One of the things I'd like to know on the fundraising, when you say they're going to raise it by project, is that absolutely inviolate? And the reason I ask that question is because if we raise $50,000 and we had it in the court fund, and the town has a fire, and they need money, can they take money from one project and put it in another? And I'd like to know, how inviolate is that?
No, they cannot. My understanding is it's designated to the purpose of the project that the funds were raised for.
Okay, the reason I asked this question is I voted 20 years ago in California for a rail project.
Oh,
The rail project was never built, and they put the money into the general fund. And I voted for rail. I didn't vote for the general fund, but they got my vote. So having seen that once, I am really kind of gun shy on where you put your money. So
This is a tax deductible donation for a
I
specific
understand.
purpose.
I understand, but so is the PB fund. The PB pickleball fund is also available, and I would feel more comfortable because I know if I put it in the PB pickleball fund, it's in the PB pickleball fund. It's not in the general town fund.
Yeah, Bob, there are three trustees for the PV fund. I think Sarah Doherty, John Golden, and I'm escaping the third name. It is a totally private entity, a charitable foundation, basically, and it's not the town's money. And they have a constitution that says they can raise funds for projects that have been approved by the town, and they can then they can disperse that money to those projects, but that money is in the PV Fund 501c3. The town has no rights or claim on any of it until there's a project. If there's not a project, there's a whole thing about kind of like a Kickstarter, like, okay, we give you your money back, or we do this, or we do that. But basically, it is totally cordoned off.
So you're saying the board could not reallocate the project?
No,
Not by their bylaws. I mean, it's a board, so who knows, I guess. But, that they would have to like rewrite their bylaws.
but David is right. The 501c3 raises the funds. They only pay the town when the project is ready to start and they're ready to move on the.
I understand. And understand the PB pickleball fund is a 503(7) C7 funds, and it also is tax deductible.
Well, the PB pickleball, not a fund.
Yes, there is a fund.
Okay, no, it's not. No, it's not. Okay, let's not get into the pickleball thing right now. Robert, do you have a clarification or a question?
My understanding from Tony, our finance director, and this is just my third-party hearsay understanding, so don't quote me on this. But my understanding is that when a donation is made, typically there is a checkbox for if the donation is not used or if there is surplus, because typically there is some portion of contingency. I think they're separate boxes. But if the project does not go through, I believe the money is typically returned. That would need to be verified. I do know that if there is surplus after the project is complete, there is a checkbox for whether you would like any percentage remainder of your donation to be returned, or if you would like for it to be allocated for other work. So my understanding is that that's something that the individual donor decides.
And
Okay.
I think we've talked about that if there's excess funds, we would indicate to the donors that it would be used for future maintenance on the courts.
should be.
Yeah.
Steve?
Um,
Yeah, my question was with regards to the movement of the basketball courts, that was considering all four hoops or just two? Because there's four hoops. Could make the argument that four hoops is overkill, and if the bid included four, we could reduce it by two and see where we land. But
That I've talked to John, your board member, John Myers, and,
Yep.
I had him out to the courts, and he said he would agree with one 10-foot basket at each end and one 8-foot basket on the side. So that because the 8-foot basket is for little kids or younger kids, and I've never seen two of them used at once. There are two of them there, but so the whole proposal was going to be one at each end for the 10-foot board and one on the side for 8 feet. So it is less than what was bid. Not a great deal less, but less.
Yeah. The alternative could be instead of adding an additional one that is a different height, installing one that can be automatically dropped and lifted. Then you've got two. If you got smaller kids, they can crank it down to 6 or 8 feet. If somebody wants to play a full court game and get the 10-foot, use the crank to get it up.
I don't disagree,
Same
but
thing.
I think John Myers will have an opinion.
Mm.
You know, I don't think this will fly either, but I'm just going to throw this idea out. Is Corte Madera has really nice basketball facilities right now. On different size, different hoop heights and everything. And there's probably not enough time and no way to figure that out. But if there could be a symbiotic relationship to use those courts, that might be nice. But obviously you can't do it during school hours.
Yeah.
I know John Myers has looked into that. I don't know what, there was a problem, but Steve, did your hand up or down?
No, it's I just have to lower it. But I think the other flip side of that is the courts are, in my experience, used when the families are at the park and doing other things besides basketball, and it's kind of like not an afterthought, but just a nice thing for the kids to do. Whereas Corte Madera doesn't draw the same entertainment or the families and the crowds, but just for what it's worth.
Okay. So Robert, is your hand up or down?
Really quickly here, I just want to note that I have maybe 5 or 10 more minutes. Whatever questions I can answer,
Okay.
please let me know. I'm here to support. Thank you.
Can you clarify whether the quote, how many hoops the quote was for?
The quote was for like, so it would have been 2 end and 2 side. Again, this is an initial quote. It would have to go back to town council, and then based on their direction, we could finalize the specification and scope and request a revised quote at that time. So the quote for 35 was for 2 end posts and 2 side posts, same as it is currently.
And new backboards.
Correct. Yes, we were unable to find any contractor that was willing to reuse the existing backboards.
Really?
They're pretty old anyway. Okay. What you want to do? What you want to do?
What?
So I think let me maybe try and clarify. Maybe we should see what our options are. Current options would be to stay the course with resurfacing plus realignment. With possibly going back and seeing if we could challenge the quote for the basketball hoops just to see if we could get it down in terms of scope, but that would take some time, and so we could probably start the campaign, but we would probably not make the May target. What I've been told by Darcy, just another point, clarification, is that we cannot award the contract or start it until all of the funds are raised.
Mm.
So
Well, so in that situation, timing wise, getting the courts redone in May is probably not a possibility anymore. Is
Probably
that
not possible
okay?
if we stay the course, would be my expectation. The second option would be just resurface and keep court one as the pickleball court.
Ugh.
I guess there's another option, which is resurface, and maybe you could make court two as a pickleball court. And then the fourth option would be, wait. Wait for more money, wait for the new budget cycle to see if we could get money in the budget, wait to see if we could find another solution, especially where the basketball hoops could go. Wait to see if somebody gives us $1 million. Wait. So as I see it, those are the four options. Do people agree that those are the four options?
Yeah.
I'm not seeing a lot of excitement out there.
Well, they're
This is
awful.
tough, guys. I know it is.
I'd like to revisit option 3, which is make the pickleball court
Two.
2. Just because the two courts are separated, what big deal is that? I don't see a big deal.
It
That was
only
my-
affected Court
I
Madeira.
thought that was option 3.
Yeah, it was.
Option 1, go ahead, raise $90,000. Option 2 is resurface only, but keep court 1. Option 3, resurface, but make it court 2.
Yeah.
Option 4 was wait. Karen,
So I've two questions. One is, as you said, option 1 is now $90,000, but I thought it was 80,000.
well, okay, 80.
Okay, and then what is option 2 and option 3 now? Is it still 35?
Yeah,
Okay.
yes. Option 2 and 3 would only be court resurfacing, realignment, and it's all about the location of the pickleball court. So court
Okay.
2 would be keep court 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And now my question is about option 3 that we haven't talked about, but that's where the pickleball matches would get played. That's my understanding is and those get played on 2 of the 4 courts, and so it limits
In the
the ability to play on the other 2 courts. Wasn't that one of the issues with that?
It can be, but it's not required. If there are people that want to play pickleball, the people that are watching the games have to move out of the way. So there's nothing to stop using all 4 courts simultaneously, even during a match.
And the rules could be such that people stay off those courts if they're just watching, that they have to go to either end line for that.
Yes, you could make a rule that they could not be on the court.
Okay, and then let's see. I guess there's no difference if the pickleball is on court 2, and I'm thinking about Court Madeira, because they would use then courts 1 and 3.
Tracy said that.
They were using, what do they usually use now when they go?
Tracy said,
Three.
okay, Cindy, yeah.
2 and 3. They usually use 2 and 3.
So they would get the same number of pickleballs no matter what court they were in. It's the same
Yeah,
because there's the net on one side and yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so they'd have 2 tennis courts, but she often uses the pickleball courts and the nets for short court for tennis. So she'll
Oh,
have
yeah.
one group of kids playing tennis, and then she'll have the others on short court. And since we have 4 pickleball nets, she can have a lot going on that way. So she wasn't totally unhappy with splitting the courts. She just worries about having middle schoolers far away, but she often has
Yeah.
help, so she was fine with it.
Actually, I'd like to ask for a fifth option.
Oh,
If we're not going to resurface the courts, make pickleball court the primary court number 2, and not. I mean, and we don't do the resurfacing right now. For now, we don't change anything. We just move pickleball to priority court 2. That's a fifth option.
and put tennis on one?
1 and 3.
We could try that. I mean, we could actually try that.
It would help a lot of the pickleball people, I can tell you. And understand, we have in a week, we have maybe 20 tennis players total, the whole week, that play tennis. And we probably have 35 basketball players, and we have 100 or 150 pickleball players. So the utilization is very different for the various users. And I can tell you, it's frustrating to feel like you're being pushed over to the side when we can see that the court was open. We had a match on Sunday. The court was completely empty on 2, but we had to play on 1. For 2.5 hours.
Okay,
That's actually a good idea.
we have 5 options. Does anybody want to strike any of the options? Robert, go ahead. You say something before you have to go.
I have to drop off here in a minute. Does anyone else have
Okay.
anything else for me?
No, you're
I
good.
don't think
Thank
so,
you.
no.
Just that
Okay.
email I sent you.
Yep, I saw that email come through. I looked at it. I'll look into that, David. Thank you.
Yep,
If anyone
thank
has
you.
any more questions, feel free to email me or call me. Thanks. Okay. Bye.
Thanks, David. Robert, sorry.
Good night. Happy Tuesday. Bye.
Yeah, good night.
The nice thing about option 5 is it costs no money.
I have a question about that option 5, which is I'm on the pickleball list, and I recently saw that there was, Cindy, you sent out something about tennis players being unhappy because they weren't able to use the court. Do you remember this? It was like a month. Bob, I hear that you're saying tennis players don't use the court. I think one of the reasons is because the pickleball players are always there. But Cindy, you had sent something out recently about that.
Well, we took a survey, and
No, it was a separate email that you sent to the PB.
It was
Yes, about a month ago, it said you cannot, on the weekend, you cannot play matches on court 2. You cannot play pickleball matches on court 2. And that's why I had to play pickleball match on court 1. And even though court 2 was empty the whole time.
Yeah, that was an answer to tennis players not having any availability.
But they
We
have
take
court 3.
pickleball courts all of Saturday and Sunday morning. And it turns out that almost all league matches are played on Saturday and Sunday afternoons. And so basically there is no tennis availability on weekends. And I think
That
tennis
is not
players
true. That is
Huh?
not, they have court 3.
they have court 3, but it's
They
always a
have court
mess.
3. Court 3 is a
Yeah.
tennis court, got a tennis net, very nice court.
So we
Actually-
should make that, we should somehow advertise that or make
I
it.
think there's an easy option to this, a very easy solution that doesn't cost any money at all. All we do is put a sign up on the court that says, on the weekends, tennis has priority to court 2. If we're going to pick court 2, I would say 1, but let's say it's 2. Tennis has priority. If any pickleball player is on the court, please request that they leave the court so you can play tennis. And I think if we put that on the fence when they walked in, so they know that they have the priority, they know they have the right. If they don't exercise that, that's up to them. But we are going to sell that, hey, you have the right on the court, and all you have to do is ask the pickleball people to leave, and you can point at this sign.
That sign already exists and it's out there in front every day, and it's
Then
for
I don't
one big
understand
town.
then I don't understand the complaint.
I think, Bob, sometimes if there's like 8 pickleball players out there, right? You have 2 courts of pickleball. People are very uncomfortable to go ask to remove 8 people, even if they have priority. I think that's one of the things. Now, one of the things that could be done is maybe there needs to be bigger, bolder signs specifically about that. Maybe people aren't seeing that.
I
But
agree.
I think that is, I mean, I am not out there doing anything. So I'll defer my vote, but I do think there is some arguments and that we can't forget about the other people that use the courts. That's all.
But why can't they go to court 3? Is my question.
They can.
And then so would tennis have court 3 as priority?
Oh,
And then what happens to basketball? I think that's been an issue because it's already shared court. I think that was
and
the
how often do you think they conflict?
On the weekends, not much at all. On the week, a lot of the players that play basketball, especially the half court, come from Rosati's. They are the Rosati's servers, and they have a group that comes and plays half court, and so they're there, and it's almost all during the week. They're not there on the weekends very often, so the weekends are pretty clear as far as basketball. And somebody's going to get knocked off. I mean, whether it's pickleball getting knocked off or basketball getting knocked off, somebody's going to get knocked off if you have a lot of participation.
We've only got 3 courts. I
Right.
mean, we cannot solve 100% for anybody.
I agree.
So which option do we choose?
5.
You said that.
I did. Bob.
You don't have a vote. Unless you want to join the committee. Okay. How many people, let's just maybe get this one. How many people want to try and raise $80,000? How many people think that's the right way to go? I mean, it might be the right way to go. How many people think that's what we should do?
So this is like within the next 3 months.
Yes.
Time wise, this has to be right.
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't get it in the last 3 months, it's next year.
I don't think we can.
How many people want to stay the course and make court 1 pickleball, but do the resurfacing? How many people want to do nothing? How many people want to do option number 3, which is resurface and make court number 2 a dedicated pickleball court?
Can we vote for 2 things?
No.
Oh. Okay.
How many people want to delay the resurfacing, move pickleball to court 2 and see how it works?
Just 2 of us? Bob doesn't have an opinion?
Karen, Steve, you're not voting.
I'm sorry, because the options I wrote down, that one doesn't go with what I wrote down.
That's what I wrote.
Okay, so there's no resurfacing. Was that option 5?
5.
5.
Yeah, okay.
That was
And
after.
Yeah.
sorry, that's why
Did I say
I was
wrong?
going down my list.
I
and-
apologize. I apologize.
I vote for 5.
Steve, we go for 5?
Yes.
David? I voted. Karen?
I defer my vote to the pickleball people. I abstain.
5 is basically an improved version of weight.
No, I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's no
5 is,
resurfacing.
wait, 5 is we do not do any resurfacing. We move to court number 2.
We don't
We
raise
test
any
it out,
funds.
see how it goes, and we
Yeah,
See how it goes.
don't raise any funds, and we basically kind of ask the town council to give us the money next year.
sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I'm
Good
hearing is that the Parks and Rec Committee is recommending that we delay resurfacing, that we move pickleball priority court to, we allow league matches on number 2, but they have to allow, they can only use 2 courts, and they have to allow pickleball players to play. No spectators on the court if it can be used, and that we maybe look for better signage for tennis players to move to court 3 if court 2 is not available.
Well,
Big
I
sign,
think
big,
fine.
big signs on
It's
the
3
gate.
by 2. I mean, it's huge. It's a
Okay,
big
we could
sandwich
talk-
board. How do you
Let's
miss
talk
it?
about signage later.
I have one thought. I want to make sure. So with the budget, now if we then don't spend those funds, we know some of them are in Parks and Lieu and they stay there. But we are also going to spend that $6,000 that we had. And I'm wondering if we could go back if let's assume the feasibility study for Ford is the 40,000. Ask that some of that come from that $6,000 so we keep more money in the Parks and Lieu fund.
Do that.
Can we figure out how to do that? Because otherwise we're going to lose that $6,000.
David?
If the landscape architecture thing costs 6,000, we should spend it all from our $6,000 overage and keep every penny we can in Loot Fund, because that holds, right?
Yes.
6,000 is probably
Yes,
easy to lose it.
that we want to spend that 6,000 first before
Yeah.
any money
But
goes.
to be clear, I'm
Yeah.
100% agreeing with you. I'm just leaning into
Yeah.
spending that money before we lose it.
Okay.
I agree. That's a good point. Okay. Yeah, I will.
I have one more comment. Does the money that we pay, that the league, pickleball leagues pay to the town go into your rec fund, or do they go to the general fund?
No.
General
No,
fund.
the general fund.
Same with
Because
all
we're-
the leagues, Bob. That's Alpine's fees, adult softball's fees, adult soccer's.
They go in the
Alpine
general fund,
Strikers.
not to your fund.
It all goes. Yeah, it doesn't even get allocated to maintenance or anything. It just
Wow.
goes to the general fund.
Okay.
The Parks and Rec fund is funded through some weird tax that is not ongoing. Tony explained it to me one time. It's unfortunately not something that is added to very often. A very specific
Just so you all
tax.
know, the leagues provide $10,000 to $12,000 a year for court usage for the reservation for games. So we provide $10,000 to $12,000 every year.
Bob, I get it. I get it. Okay? I get it.
Just started.
Okay, all right. We are gonna delay resurfacing. We're gonna dedicate court 2 to pickleball. We're going to get really big on the signage. And we are going to test it out and see if we can make this work, at least for a little while, and be aggressive about next year's budget cycle. And we're going to make sure we spend the $6,000.
And you'll allocate for budgeting for things like the court resurfacing.
Advocate.
We're going to actively recruit to try and get budget next year for the court resurfacing.
Thank you.
And Bob, it would be great. I believe those meetings are coming up. If you could at least write a letter. As we move on, I'll share the letter I already wrote to the town. But the more people that bring this up, the better off we'll be.
Is that tomorrow night's meeting?
No, It's not.
I don't think so.
I
I'm
mean,
out of town.
I'll be glad to be there. I just tell me when it is. Not
No,
now.
I think we
Not
should
this
get,
minute. Not this minute. Offline. You guys tell me
Yeah.
when it is offline.
I think we should try and get as many people to write letters as possible. So, okay, all right, thank you. Last thing is the town picnic. Again, through major headaches, we do have a date for the picnic. I can't believe how hard this is. September 19th is the date for Zots and the town picnic. So it's on the calendar. Probably next month we can start to do some brainstorming about that. Like everybody to think about maybe some different ideas about the picnic, some ideas for Zots. And everybody please put it on their calendar so we get everybody on board for that.
Thank you. I'm going to say goodnight.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Don't say
Good night.
goodnight. I want to share my letter that I already sent to council. So you can see they had a meeting last week, or the last meeting they had was
The
they
priorities
had the
study.
priorities meeting, and I
Yeah.
couldn't attend. Let me see if I can find it. It was in my
Well, why don't you just send it to me?
it's really quick, and I'm just going to read it publicly.
Okay.
I may be able to attend the meeting. I wanted to share some thoughts as you look forward. I know you have many important priorities on your plate dealing with our fiscal health, resident and fire safety, housing, etc. One, as a Parks and Rec Committee member, it has become apparent that the town has not planned appropriately for maintenance with respect to some of our community amenities. An example is that we are having to solicit private donors to repair and resurface our only courts. Tree trimming should also be done prior to resurfacing the courts, as the trees surrounding those courts are causing safety issues due to lack of sunlight and debris. Our understanding is that there are no funds for basic tree trimming for projects like this. As we plan our future, issues like this must be thoughtfully addressed. Two, while we don't have a lot of commercial businesses to provide revenue to the town, we do have a very valuable asset, land. How do we leverage this asset better? The small amount of revenue we make on the 1.2 acre parking lot we own next to Rosati's soccer field and the large lot at Ford Field are far from what we should be earning. Should we consider installing parking pay station kiosks for a pay and display system? Perhaps residents could have stickers on their cars that exempt them from fees. Obviously, this idea needs fleshing out, but I do believe we have a strong revenue opportunity with some of our parking areas. And while I love the farmers market, it does come at a cost. We lose parking for those using our town center amenities for $52 a year. I believe that contract needs to be renegotiated, and it probably takes away from sales at Roberts Market, which would provide some revenue to the town, ? Perhaps we should revisit our rental contract with Ladera Oaks for the land next to Ford Field as well, and there may be others. Thanks for considering my thoughts, but I just wanted to share that. So the more that we get people writing in, I think the better off we're going to be, and that they pay more attention to written comments. You get very little time to comment in a meeting. Just my 2 cents.
Thank you.
Karen, will you email that to me as well?
Sure.
Thank you. Nighty night.
Thanks, Bob.
Bye.
Bye, Bob.
Okay. Is that everything on the agenda?
You missed one, the court reservation system. Did you want to skip that?
Oh, yeah. Sorry. We need to make a decision.
So we were, the price of SCEDA went up by triple, was it? It was by quite a lot of the system we're using for court reservations, which is a very low use system. We only have something like 5 reservations a week, and they're all for tennis. So I looked at a bunch of reservation systems, and I came up with 2 that are pretty cheap, basically, that would do, what are they? Okay, yeah, I checked 17 different systems. I came up with two. One's called Super SAS at the cost of $108 a year, and the other is called yourcourts.com. A couple of them, we had a set of requirements that we wanted the reservation system to do. One was that we have a difference between when residents and non-residents can reserve and stuff like that. And all of them had one issue that they couldn't do. It was different issues. One wouldn't be able to distinguish between residents and non-residents, and the other one, you couldn't block off court one for league play, which is now court one, which will be court two in the future, but whatever. So I have a son who's a very tech savvy guy, and I was telling him the problem I was having looking at this software, and he sat down for an hour and talked to AI and came up with a system that's perfect and it's free. So I wonder if I'd
Vote
like
for that.
Yeah, I know. And it's simple. It's for tennis players and basketball players to reserve their courts and only their courts. It allows the admin to reserve the pickleball court for pickleball league play. And I just think that's really all we need. We don't really need a big, complicated, the problem I was having with the software that's on the market is they all want to collect money, and they're made for tennis clubs and bigger facilities than our three little courts and our uses. Since we don't allow individual pickleball reservations, it's pretty simple.
Can we import our data?
Yeah, I can take it's all we have for data is the users basically. And
No, I
yes,
know,
can
but I don't
import those.
want them to have to register again.
Yeah, no, we can export that and import it.
Okay,
I'll check and make sure it comes with the passwords, because that would be
sounds like an easy decision to me. How about, can you put it on your phone?
Oh yeah, and it looks really nice.
Okay,
I'll send you a link. Right now it's on, one of the things that we have to work out is where to put it. Right now it's on my website, which it can't be. It should either be on the town's website or we should get a domain of its own, something like that. So I'll send you the link to the one I've got, and you can look at it and see what you think.
no, I'd like it. I like that solution.
It's, it was pretty simple. It's
Yeah.
good to have children.
AI is great. Claude's my best friend right now. He and I talk all the time.
Yeah.
I'm leaving for Claude.
So I'll send that out.
Great. Good
Okay,
job.
that's all.
Thank you, Cindy. Okay, anything else? I know it's late, everybody. It's a tough day.
You haven't heard any updates on the negotiation for the Rosati's parking, have you? Yeah.
I know. I sent a note to Darcy expressing my concern that we didn't have a seat at the table and that perhaps our interests were not being reflected appropriately for soccer and the use of the parking lot, blah, blah, blah. She sent me back a note and she said, the only thing the council is negotiating right now is price and term. Details like soccer parking, etc., she said, are outside of the scope. I said, why? Because quite frankly, that's the problem. And she said, because the council is focusing on dollars and scope. I said, okay, that's why we should have a seat at the table. And she said, I'm sorry, that is not appropriate at this time, or something. I forget her language. It was one of the most incredibly frustrating exchanges I've had so far. So that's the news I have.
Should we send in a letter from Parks and Rec to the council? At least to have our voice be heard.
I can certainly do. Yes, I could certainly do that. I'll take this, use part of the letter I sent to Darcy.
Yeah, if you want to send it, if you want any help with that, I'm happy to, I don't know. I'm happy to help with that, because I think that if they renegotiate that contract and we don't have those parking spots for soccer, that field is done.
Yeah.
I would, anything you can do to influence the town council, I think, is where it has to go. I mean, Darcy is super smart, but she's also super aware of her role, and she's going to do what the town council says. So there's no point in hectoring her particularly. I mean, we have 5 town council members, and if they don't change their mind or set their priorities, that's an issue. So whatever, that's where we have to have a leverage point, is with those 5 people.
Yeah. Okay, I will do that. All right. Anything else? All right. Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Good night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Appreciate it.
Thank